Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alla. I'm a homeschooling mother of two and I work full-time outside the home. Today I want to kick off a series that I would like to just add to throughout the year, and I'm going to be calling it Kids in the Kitchen. The way that we do dinners here is my kids rotate which one is helping me in the kitchen. This way it kind of teaches them life skills and it actually helps me a lot as well. If I'm not feeling well, if I need to work with a student, the other student can jump into the kitchen and get kind of comfortable with cutting and slicing and dicing and all the fun stuff that comes in the kitchen. And so this week my son is joining me in the kitchen, so it's his week to cook. So yeah, today is Monday, February 5th, and he is going to be helping me do a sausage orzo with salad. Welcome friends, and thank you again for joining me today. My son is 11, almost 12, and we've had them help us in the kitchen before, but recently my husband and I have decided that we needed to add a little bit more responsibility to the kids, and the kitchen just seemed like a perfect place to start. Before, they would help me pull ingredients from the pantry or the fridge, but they never would be the ones who are chopping or cooking. And so that's where we started with the responsibilities. We decided it was time for them to be a little bit more self-sufficient. And so I tried not to do majority of the cooking, but to be honest, I was not expecting to have to explain every single step. I kind of just expected them to know. So there was a lot of stopping and explaining and pointing, and it just took a lot longer than I anticipated, which is why a lot of the times we start our dinner around 4. It gives us plenty of time to go through the recipe. If they have any questions, we can answer them. I'm not in a big rush. I just try to give us as much time as possible. So we started around 4, and I think we ate probably around 5:30. The recipe itself doesn't take very long. It's a quick recipe. But again, like I said, I just had to stop and explain and help my son along the way in a lot of scenarios, and explain how do we look at measuring cups, how do we use measuring spoons, all that stuff that I just kind of didn't anticipate for some reason.
Taste this.
I place the recipes into sleeve protector sheets so that if anything spills, it's a quick cleanup and I don't have to reprint the recipe. This is also helpful when I decided to use a dry erase marker to help my son stay on the correct step in the recipe. Once each step was completed, one of us would cross it out, and then he knew exactly what step he was on. Another thing that I realized that I had to remind my son was to not use his hands. I mean, maybe I was just expecting him to know that, but the amount of times I repeated myself was something I was not anticipating. This recipe was definitely a hit, and it's going to be a repeat, which means it's going to go live in our meal planning binder. However, I think next time we will use less liquid. It definitely thickened up as it stands, but it seemed pretty liquidy and watered down to me when we were starting to dish it up. As you can see there, it kind of looks more like stew versus a pasta dish. But we had enough for the kids for the next day for lunch and for my husband as well. Today is Tuesday, February 6th, and we are making cheeseburger fried rice. This was a new recipe for us, and it turned out okay. My family liked it, but it wasn't one of those like wow recipes where you want to have it again. It was just okay. I might find another one to see if I can try it again. I think it had something to do with the fact that my rice wasn't fully cold. As you can see, I'm flipping it out of the rice cooker now, and the recipe did say to have fully cold rice, so that might be one of the issues. And it could be also from my skillet. I don't think my skillet was big enough. I think it was overcrowded and it just didn't have the correct space for it to cook. So those might just be user error versus the recipe, but we might give it another go and see if I can find a bigger skillet, or I don't know, we'll see. Maybe we'll just skip it altogether and just do something else next time. I am so glad my husband and I decided to do this. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot faster to cook dinner by myself. However, it was such a nice time to spend one-on-one with my son. The conversations weren't like super deep or emotional or anything like that, but it was good time spending together, teaching him new skills and kind of congratulating him when he was getting it, and helping him through the difficult spots. It's just one of those things that I hope that they have a fond memory of being in the kitchen with mom. Here's where my son goes full hand into the sesame seed bag. And looking back, it makes me laugh because there was already a spoon in there ready for him to use, and I reminded him of that, and yet it was still full hand right into the bag. Today is Thursday, February 8th, and the reason why we don't have a clip from Wednesday is because we had church last night and our church served dinner. My son is very thrilled to not have to cook, not because he doesn't like it, but because at church he gets to hang out with his friends when he eats dinner. So this day we are making Italian wedding soup, and it was also a first time recipe. Everyone liked it, everyone enjoyed it, definitely going into our binder. And this night was also the night that we take dinner to my father-in-law who lives in our neighborhood. Barring any illnesses, we try to go to my father-in-law's house every Thursday to sit with him and to visit. He is a recent widower, and so we just try to spend as much time as possible over there. With a busy schedule, with kids and things like that, he understands that we can't come over every single day, and so we have kind of found a happy medium of visiting him every Thursday. So once the soup is done cooking, we kind of abruptly stop the video just because we gotta go visit my father-in-law. I really recommend this recipe, not only because it was good, but because it was simple for my son to follow. It was more of a simple recipe, but it tasted amazing. That night, one of my brother-in-laws also joined us for dinner. There was plenty of food, everyone enjoyed it, and everyone complimented my son, and the smile that it brought to his face was so great to see. I think the compliments definitely boosted his confidence in cooking and being in the kitchen. Today is Friday, February 9th, and we have our typical Friday meal, which is baked chicken thighs with veggies. This was the first meal that we ever started our kids off with cooking, mostly because there is not much to it and it's kind of hard to mess up. My son just seasoned the chicken and then put it in the oven to bake for a little bit over than an hour, and that was it. This meal is very hands-off, and it's a great first meal to start the kids off at. Here I am teaching my son how to do veggie boats. I'm not even sure where I learned this or where I picked up this recipe, but all I do is we hollow out the sweet peppers and fill them with cream cheese. Today we're using jalapeno cream cheese because that's what my husband and I prefer, but you can use regular cream cheese if you'd like. I would probably suggest using the whipped cream cheese just because it's a little bit easier to spread and manipulate when you're trying to get the cream cheese into the peppers. Then we do the same with the mini cucumbers. We hollow out the seeds and we remove as much liquid as we can from the cucumber boats. I found that by removing the moisture, it helps the cream cheese adhere to the cucumber and stay in place. And then once that is done, we just top everything off with a bagel seasoning. My husband also actually likes the pepper flakes on there, but since we were doing the jalapeno cream cheese, I decided not to add any more spice. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this Kids in the Kitchen episode. If you did, please hit that like button. And if you like this content, please subscribe and hit that notification button so that you can be notified whenever I post a new video. I am a working mom that sharing what has worked for us in hopes that it might help you or give you some ideas. I would love to have you join my YouTube family. Thanks again, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great day.